Right. Yo, what is good, everybody? It is your boy Ghost Dog back in the house. We are here today to talk about what's coming in 2026 from the ATF. If you haven't been under a rock somehow, so on and so forth, one of the few things that came from the bill that was passed on July 4th, starting January in 2026, suppressors will now be $0 for the tax on them. But registration fingerprints in the Form 4 application itself is still required. So one of my subscribers said, hey, would you want to talk about this? And so he brought it to my attention, and up until now I had so many other videos lined up, I just didn't have time to fit this one in. So now that I'm pretty much caught up, by the time you guys are seeing this, I will probably be just getting home from Jamaica. Yeah, either just getting home from Jamaica or just getting ready to go to Jamaica. I don't know when. But as I'm recording this, as of today is December 1st. But I wanted to kind of get this out to you guys, and then we will work on the editing and get it up to you guys somewhere around that time. But starting January 1st, the Form 4 tax on suppressors has been eliminated. I know other people have talked about it, so let's get ready for it. The effective date of the $200 tax is gone for suppressors, short barrel rifles, short barrel rifle shotguns, and any other weapons starting on January 1st. Current requirements: if you submit a Form 4 for a suppressor before January 1st, 2026, you must still pay the $200 tax stamp. Registration remains. The removal of the tax does not change the requirement for the file of the ATF Form 4, submit fingerprints, photos, and undergo a background check. All that is still required pretty much for you to buy any firearm, but now you don't have to pay that $200 tax stamp for the suppressors. The ATF e-form portal is still the primary method for submitting the Form 4 application. Potential waiting times. So let's talk about that, actually, because the actual current waiting times are much shorter now than they were a few years ago. And then with the change, and the reason why is everybody's kind of waiting for January 1st, 2026. So you kind of have to weigh the cost versus the need or want of the suppressor. If the suppressor's at a pretty good price and you are okay saying, hey, I kind of want the suppressor today, you may be willing to go ahead and throw that $200 tax at it just to get it a little bit sooner, because while current wait times are historically low, a surge in applications after January 1st could cause processing times to increase. So let's talk about the pros of this. The pros of the tax stamp being removed. The primary benefit of them being removed on the suppressors is increased accessibility due to lower cost. So initially, out the gate, you're going to see costs basically be $200 less than what it would be there. It helps improve hearing and safety. Suppressors are viewed as a safety equipment that reduces noise pollution and protects the hearing of the shooters, hunters, and nearby individuals. Lowering the cost encourages more people to use them for the safety benefit. I think people use them regardless. They pay the $200 tax stamp, and I think you'll just see more people now. Whereas if you had multiple rifles, then you would probably have a can that may fit multiple rifles, and some may get left off, some may not, just because you didn't want to pay the $200 tax stamp. Well, now you can go ahead and get that taken care of by doing that, getting that squared away. Market growth. The removal of the cost barrier is expected to increase the demand and boost sales, which could lead to greater economics of the scale of manufacturing and potential lower overall retail prices in the long run. We're going to come back to that because I believe I have a con that might contradict that, but we're going to just kind of talk about that. But I do believe it will increase the sale of them right out the gate. Somebody like myself, by this time you guys seen which AR I purchased, so I'll be looking for a suppressor in the near future. How soon in the near future? I don't know. One of the things I said, if you haven't seen that video yet, one of the things I'm going to be doing is just making steadily upgrades to my AR to definitely improve it. Not only the performance, but necessarily just the overall aesthetic look of the AR itself. Not that I want it to be a sexy gun, but I definitely want it to look a little bit more than what it is now. I love the way it looks now. I want to love it even more when I get done with it. Second Amendment rights. Gun rights advocate groups argue that the tax was an unconstitutional burden that disproportionately affected law-abiding citizens, and that its removal is a step towards full deregulation of the NFA items. As I'm a new gun owner, the more and more I hear about the NFA and about some of the things that they kind of govern and oversee, it is kind of mind-boggling to be someone who's a 2A rights person. So the more that we can separate that part and make it more useful for people like myself and others like me, I think that is a great thing going forward. And the creation of a secondary market. The existing tax on subsequent transfers has largely prevented the development of widespread used suppressor market. Removing the tax is expected to facilitate the creation of a viable secondhand market. So we have all the suppressors right out there now, and think of how many more people in the future will jump into the game of taking a look at, now that we don't have to worry about the tax stamp, we can sell our suppressors at X price and not feel like our consumers will still feel like that we are compatible with other companies out there. So I think that's a great thing for competitiveness, keeping prices fair and things like that. So we talked about all the pros. Let's talk about some of the cons. The main con of removing the suppressor tax stamp includes potential price increase from manufacturers trying to offset the cost, the risk of the government replacing the tax with a new fee, and the possibility of much longer processing times due to increased demand. The government's permitted registration of the NFA items also remains, which some see as a negative despite the tax being removed. Other potential negative consequences could be looked like as price increases. Some suppressor companies may raise their price to compensate for the loss of the tax stamp revenue, which would make sense, right? Like if they were thinking to myself like, oh, this is a tax that's going to get paid to the government, but is that tax actually going to the people, the companies who make the suppressors? Do they get some of that tax stamp money? And if they do, then how do they offset that loss? Because even if they're getting half, so say they're getting half of the tax stamp money, which again, I'm new to this, so if I'm completely wrong about this, let me know in the comments below. But if they're getting, let's say half, $100 for every time they sold a suppressor, depending on how many, you sell, let's say you sell 5,000 suppressors a year. That's a lot of money. That's $500,000 if my math is correct. It could be even $5 million. Yeah, I think it's $5 million. $5 million in just suppressor tax alone that comes off the books just because they're now no longer requiring that to be a thing. We talked about this already. Higher demand leading to longer wait times. With the tax stamp removed, you're going to see more people trying to get in there. Where I think right now here in Indiana, talking to my local range, they're saying turnaround time is somewhere between 5 to 7 days, and they're expecting an initial increase to somewhere between 2 to 3 weeks. So and that's just the initial of what they expect. It could go up right out the gate based on how many people jump into that. The risk of future tax increases. Well, we talked about that slightly as well. Removing the tax stamp does not remove the requirement to register the NFA item with the ATF, which requires a permit government record, including fingerprints and photos as well. And I skipped down. I looked at one and skipped down. I am reading this off of a thing I did generate and make for myself. So let's go back to the risk of future tax increase. While the current tax is removed, the future administration could possibly Future administrations could implement a new higher tax stamp, possibly even exceeding the original $200 one. I can see where that would be a big problem in legislation for people who are big time in favor of this, and I'd have a hard time seeing the government going above. Now, could they still add one in the future? Could I see one for 100 or 150? Yes. Could I see one going higher than 200? I don't know. I just think it'd be a lot of backlash. It's going to be backlash regardless if they ever put tax stamp back on these. But to go more than 200, I think will pretty much kill the market for suppressors. And I think a lot of people who are thinking that, oh, if we do this, this is one step towards more gun control. No, people are just going to shoot their ARs without suppressors. People are going to shoot their short barrel rifles without suppressors. They're going to kill the ears of everybody around them because they don't have suppressors. Yes, in the range when we're out practicing, going out and showing off our ARs where we're out hunting or just at the range plinking metal or firing at paper, we're wearing ear protection. But when you're at home, I mean, you grab your 300 blackout, unless you're shooting subsonic ammo, stuff is loud. I don't care what kind of ammo you use. It's all loud. And I can guarantee you that my wife, my daughter, my granddaughter, if I would ever have to use my AR as a self-defense tool, I would tell them, go find a spot, go in there, cover your ears. This is going to get loud because, I mean, it just is. It's just loud ammunition. I was at the range one time, and my wife also we were switching headsets, and she didn't switch fast enough, and someone let off a shot, and just a ringing in her ears. And I said this before, I answered a phone call at the range, thought was in there by myself, and then I heard a loud pow, and that ringing, I still remember it in my ears. And that was like a pistol being shot at a range. Could you imagine if that was a AR type gun that was shot in a close proximity like a home, and how loud that's going to be? So there's that. Constitutional challenges. The removal of the tax stamp may weaken the legal argument for the NFA's existence altogether, but it could also lead to legal challenges related to the continued use of the registry without the associated tax revenue, which I can see that being a thing. Like, they're going to want to know who's got these. I'm pretty sure if they're going to say $0 tax stamp, we still need to want to know who's got these things out there, because there are people who are afraid, who think that responsible gun owners like myself and people that I know are the problem when we're the majority of the gun owners, and the minority of gun owners are the people out there doing wrong. Criminals are going to be criminals. They're going to do what they want to do. They don't follow the law for a reason, henceforth them being criminals. So don't take the rights away from the people who are doing right, because the people who are doing wrong don't care about your laws anyway. I just think that's absolutely 100% incorrect. And then inventory challenges. Expect a surge in demand on some retailers may face inventory shortages, making it difficult to purchase a suppressor for a period of time. So those 2 to 3 week wait times could hop up to 2 to 3 month wait times very quickly, depending on how this all plays out. So what do you guys think? Do you guys think that there's more pros and cons that are out there? How do you guys feel about the tax being disbanded? Are you excited about it? Have your concerns? Let's talk about it in the comment section below. Thanks for watching this video. I appreciate you guys more than you know. At this point in time, when I'm making this video, we are at 80 subscribers. Thanks to a time that I spent with another gun tuber, RGG, on his live a few weeks ago. And I hopefully can get permission to use some of that to make a video that I have planned for in the future. With that being said, if you are new to the channel and you like the content that you're seeing here, make sure you're clicking the subscribe button, click the bell for the notification, and leave a like. And if you know somebody who's new to firearms or is thinking about getting into firearms, I made this channel for people just like me a little over a year ago. And I wanted to share my knowledge of what I've learned and bring more knowledge to them in the future. Share this out to them, and I would greatly appreciate it. Without you, I can't grow the channel. Without you, I don't have a channel here And I would really like to continue to keep this journey going. Hopefully I can bring more great content to you going forward. And until then, is your boy GD saying, stay safe, stay ready, stay prepared. I will catch up with you next time. Until then, peace.